have some other casting rumor over here. It's not really a rumor. This is more of a movement. But this is something related to something you've been asking for a long time. And this is from TrekMovie.com. And it says, actor Jeffrey Combs responds to fan clamor for him to play Dr. Boyce on Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So we can kind of kill two birds with one stone here. Because first of all, Dave, everybody knows you've been wanting this. What do you think about the announcement of Star Trek Strange New Worlds?
I'm very excited. I know that there's some people that are kind of concerned, but I really liked Anson Mount as Pike, and I really liked Rebecca Romijn as number one, and I really liked that redesign of the Enterprise from Discovery. I really liked it. I liked it better than what they did with the movies, the Kelvin timeline movies, and I felt like that there was so much potential. And one of my favorite comic book, Star Trek comic book series, actually is Early Voyages. It was actually when Marvel Comics got the license back to produce Star Trek comics in the 90s. And they did a series, Star Trek Early Voyages. And it was all adventures with Captain Pike on board the Enterprise. And I really enjoyed that. I really liked Bruce Greenwood as when he played Captain Pike and then Admiral Pike in the new Kelvin timeline movies. I've just always kind of liked Pike, and I thought he just had a lot of potential. So I'm very, very excited for the announcement of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And I'm also was excited to see that they're saying that they're going to try to make it more of a classic Star Trek show. At least that's what we're hearing early on. There's a lot of talk that it's going to be more optimistic, that it's also going to be episodic. A return to episodic Star Trek sounds great. So I think that Strange New Worlds has a lot of potential. Could it also be awful? Sure, but I don't want to put a lot of. But I don't.
We know new Trek can be awful. We know we reviewed Picard, we know new Trek can be awful. But I think you're much more forgiving. I mean, I know that you in particular like Discovery Season 2 because of Pike, right? I mean, you're a fan of Discovery Season 2. Yeah,
I quite enjoyed it. And I personally am very excited for Strange New Worlds. And as we see more and we learn more, we'll get a better sense of it. But I have been holding out for this. I thought that this could be just really, really great. And I just think it's fun. So I'm excited for it. Now this rumor here that you brought up here, this about actor Jeffrey Combs playing Dr. Boyce. If he wanted to play this character, he could totally play this character.
He can play any character.
Jeffrey Combs.
He's a chameleon. He can play any character he wants. He's amazing.
And it would be fun too to have him in the show because he's got such an amazing legacy with Trek. I loved him as he was the Andorian captain. Was it Shran? And Enterprise.
Yes. I'm very hard on Enterprise. I'm very, very hard on Enterprise. But one of the things I always give Enterprise was it made Andorians cool. It really made Andorians cool. It really fleshed out the Andorians. I wish Enterprise had done more of that, less of the Vulcan stuff, because I hated a lot of the Vulcan stuff. I thought it was stupid. But the Andorian stuff was done very, very well. And this is the man who did it. This is the man who did it. And you can see a picture of him compared to the original actor, and he had a response to this clamor that people have had to cast him in Star Trek Strange New Worlds. This is apparently from a site called Andorian Soup. It says, "Ooh, wait a minute!" You can see the two actors there side by side. But apparently there was a Reddit post, and it said there was a thread on Reddit, and Combs said, while flattered, he pulled some cold water on the notion, saying the chasm between what fans want and what the studios want makes the chances of it happening slim to none. Now that is a very interesting statement, because there is no doubt that Star Trek fandom is heavily, heavily divided right now. And I just think that's interesting that Jeffrey Combs' response is, the chasm between what fans want and what the studio want makes the chances of it happening slim to none. What do you think of that, Dave?
Well, here's the thing. I understand what he's saying, and we all know about the divide in the fandom. I think most of you who have actually watched the Retro Rogues know that I did not like Star Trek Picard at all. I have not rewatched a single episode of Star Trek Picard. I have no interest in rewatching an episode of Star Trek Picard. It's the first Star Trek series that when I was done with it, I was done with it. And I was glad to be done with it. I was shocked at how disappointed I was with what they did with Star Trek Picard. That being, and it's ironic, I actually started rewatching some episodes from Discovery Season 2 because I kind of wanted to, because I've been kind of bouncing back and forth. I've been watching a lot of, I've been rewatching The Orville a lot. I've been watching classic Star Trek a lot, and I've actually watched a couple episodes of Discovery Season 2 that I quite enjoyed. A Distant Sound of Thunder is a great episode. Or Sound of Thunder, or I forget the actual title, but it's the one where they go to Saru's planet. That episode's really interesting. But I've been rewatching a couple episodes of Star Trek Discovery. The ones that probably mostly focused on Pike, but the one with Saru was really good too. But I believe, I could be totally wrong. Could be totally wrong on this, okay? But Star Trek Strange New Worlds, because they have veered so far from classic Trek, Star Trek Strange New Worlds could be sort of, if the producers wanted, this is an opportunity to just do sort of a classic Trek show and show that they could do it and try to bring some of the fans back if they wanted. They can still introduce some new ideas. Obviously, we want to see new stories and we want them to do interesting things. But Strange New Worlds is, if they want, this is a tremendous opportunity to bring back those hardcore Trek fans and bring them back into the fold with Strange New Worlds. It presents them that opportunity. Does it mean they're going to do it? Who knows? Who knows? Given what they've done so far, odds are maybe not. But there is always the glimmer of hope, and perhaps that they could use this as an opportunity to do that and bring back some of the more classic Trek fans. So my hope is that's what they're going to do with this, is lean a little bit more into classic Trek, and have a show for us too. They have shows for everyone else. Why can't we have a show that's also for those of us that love classic Trek? So that's what I'm hoping for. I mean, go ahead and sound off, Eric.
Well,
can you see my thought though that if they wanted, they could literally have the best of both worlds. There's another Trek reference. They could have the best of both worlds. They could have Discovery and Picard, where they have something that's kind of Trek, but they break the mold. And then with Picard, they just do whatever the hell they want to do. And then with Strange New Worlds, they could give us a more classic, episodic Trek show and have something for everyone.
But could they? Could they really? That's the question. Are they even capable of it? I don't trust Kurtzman. I know he's not a Star Trek fan. I hate it when he tries to pretend like he is, because he has stated that he is not. He was a Star Wars fan, just like J.J. Abrams. It's very clear that he has little or no respect for Star Trek canon. In fact, I thought the entire point of Discovery Season 3 was to completely get rid of canon so they don't have to deal with it anymore by putting the show in the future. Picard obviously had no respect for canon. I've got a lot of new Trek fatigue. I'm not interested in Discovery. I've seen a few episodes. I don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't like the show. I hated Picard. I mean, I hate it. I mean, anybody who saw my reviews, and you can go back to them at any time, I hated Picard. And I was devastated by Picard because I love the character. And that wasn't Picard. That was Patrick Stewart's weird agenda that didn't make any sense. But I have a lot of new Trek fatigue, but I've mentioned on the show before, I am going to check out Lower Decks. There's enough I've heard about Lower Decks that I'm interested in that. And there's probably a good possibility we'll review that on the show. Dave and I haven't talked about it specifically, but there's probably a good possibility of that. So I'm going to give New Treks a try. And I'm sorry, not New Treks, because it is part of New Trek, but I'm going to give Lower Decks a try. And if I like Lower Decks, that's going to put me in a much better mood to accept Strange New Worlds. Who knows when this show is actually going to be aired? Remember, production right now is halted in Hollywood. In fact, there was an article I'm not going to bring up, but they were talking about how a lot of other countries are saying, well, come film here because Hollywood is still closed. But the fact of the matter is, we do have Lower Decks coming on the horizon. I've heard that production has been going forward because of the unique ability of animation to go forward right now, whereas a lot of the principal photography, live action filming isn't happening right now. So hopefully Lower Decks will come out by the end of the year. And that's really going to give me a better thought, a better position of how I feel about Strange New Worlds, whether I'm going to give it a try or not, because New Trek has hurt me too many times. And so I'm giving it one more chance with Lower Decks. And then I think either I'm done or I will welcome Strange New Worlds with open arms.
Okay. Well, there you go.